everyone, welcome to another episode of Eat Something with D. As usual, I'm going to start out by saying thank you so much to everybody that's been watching so far. And my last week's recipe, which was my amped up mac and cheese, went over really big. Lots of you commented and said that you were going to make it, and if you do, I want to see pictures. Be sure to send those in very soon because I can't wait to see what you've done with it. So today I'm going to be making a staple recipe of mine. I make it all the time. A lot of my friends take it home in their tiffins. Whenever they come over, I make a big old batch and everybody goes home with a little bit. It is my very famous chickpea curry, or as we call it in Hindi, chole. It's a really simple recipe. I'm a huge fan of chickpeas. I like to put it in my salad. I like it as hummus, and I really love it as this good old Indian curry that I'm going to make for you today. So let's get started right away. I'm going to show you my ingredients and we'll get moving. Okay, let me move my camera over so you can see my yummy ingredients. Is that good? That's good for you. It's good for me. Beauty. Oh, lovely. Everything's nicely in frame. Okay, so today I've got for you, of course, a can of chickpeas nicely drained. Now, of course, you can do the dry chickpeas that you get almost like a dal, but the whole chickpeas, you can soak those overnight in warm water and they'll sort of come out like this. But I just prefer to go with the canned version because really it's much quicker. As long as you go with the low sodium version, you're fine. So 1 can of chickpeas nicely drained. I've got 1 cup of onions that I've sort of almost pureed in my chopper. If you don't have something like that, you can just finely chop them and you'll be okay. Same goes for my 1 cup of tomato. These are like pulverized tomatoes in my little chopper. That's why I love my little chopper. But again, if you really can't get it to this consistency, you can go with just chopping them up really fine and you're good to go really. Then let's come over here to my second line. I've got 2 tablespoons of cooking oil, olive oil, canola oil, any oil you like is all good. Over here hiding in this little spoon, I've got black mustard seeds. It's just about a half a teaspoon. Moving on over here, I've got 1 teaspoon of ginger garlic paste. I use this in almost everything you might have noticed. It's just equal parts of ginger and garlic mushed up in a chopper and you have ginger garlic paste. Now what I have over here is actually half a cube of chicken bouillon that I have sort of melted down into about a tablespoon of hot water. Now, if you're doing this vegetarian, obviously avoid the chicken bouillon, but this is actually one of my mom's little secret tricks to get us to eat vegetables when we were kids. She would make it taste like meat. So half a cube of bouillon there, chicken bouillon, and this is of course just salt to taste, but these two go hand in hand. So if you use the chicken bouillon, you might want to reduce the amount of salt you put in because this is extremely salty. I'm not saying it's the healthiest thing in the world either. You could probably use good fresh chicken stock and that would be great, but I'm a home chef and I like quick and easy sort of solutions, so I'm going to go with that. So make sure if you use the chicken bouillon, reduce the salt you put in accordance with your taste. And then coming over here, we've got about a 1/4 cup of good old coriander, which I absolutely love. And we're going to put it in our recipe, and we're also going to use it for garnish. Let's come to my third line, all the wonderful spices that go in. I'm going to do 1 teaspoon of turmeric. I'm going to do 3 teaspoons of cumin powder, 4 teaspoons of coriander powder, 1 teaspoon of garam masala. Garam masala is a typical masala mix that you put in Indian food. It's got cardamom and cinnamon and black pepper and cloves and all this yummy stuff, and they grind it all together and it's called garam masala. If you don't have this or you don't have access to it, you could probably skip it. I only put 1 teaspoon in because this taste can be extremely overpowering and some people don't like it. So 1 teaspoon of that. And chili powder, I always say to taste. I'll be putting in about 1 teaspoon. If you can't really handle a lot of heat, maybe a half a teaspoon just to give it a tiny bit of a kick. And that's really all you need for your chickpea curry. We're going to get started right away. I've already got my oil in a pot and I've sputtered up some mustard seeds and I've thrown in my onions and we've got that cooking already. So let me take you over to my stove. Hi. Let me take you over to my stove right here so you can see what I've been cooking up. Let me turn it down just a little bit. Perfect. Now you have a nice clear view of what I'm doing. So, like I said, I've got my onions cooking down in here with my mustard seeds that I sputtered in the oil. When I say sputtered mustard seeds, I mean let the oil heat up a little bit, throw in your mustard seeds, they'll crack open a little, release that flavor, and then you can throw your onions in and cook it down like this. So now that I've already got my onions cooking down and slightly browned, I'm going to throw in my ginger garlic paste, and I'm going to start with spooning in my spices. So we're going to do my 1 teaspoon. That was turmeric. And now I've got my cumin powder. So we're going to do 3 teaspoons of that. 2, 3, maybe a titch more. And I do 4 teaspoons of my coriander. I don't know if you remember, but when I was doing my chicken, I did the opposite. I did 4 teaspoons of cumin and 3 teaspoons of coriander. It depends on if I'm cooking a vegetable or a meat. I tend to alternate those. Don't know why, I just do. And then we've got our garam masala. And this is our chili powder. So that was 1 teaspoon of each of those. And now we're just gonna cook it all down. Just get in there, squish it around. Just really let it all fold into your onions. Now, something that I've mentioned a lot about spices is that if you don't cook them down, they are going to hit your stomach really, really hard. And I find that a lot of people complain about the fact that they can't handle spicy food. And I can understand if you can't handle like chili powder, because that's an acquired taste, of course, and it depends really on your tolerance level. But when it comes to spice, when you're talking about cumin and coriander and all these wonderful, flavorful spices, it's not so much that you can't handle the spice, it's the fact that it hasn't been cooked down properly. Spices need to be cooked down nicely if you're doing them in a curry. Of course, you can use them to sprinkle on top of yogurt and stuff like that. That's not a huge amount of spice. But when you're putting it in a curry, you want it to cook down nicely. So that's what we're doing here right now. We are cooking down these spices from their raw form into a nice cooked form. Now, 2 things happen when the spices are cooked correctly. One is that if you cook them often enough, you'll actually smell the difference between a raw spice and a nice, wholesome cooked spice. Secondly, as you're cooking, it will slowly start releasing a little bit of the oil that you put in to cook. And that's when you kind of know that your spices are actually well cooked. Now this is kind of getting a little lumpy, and so I always have a cup of water on hand, and so I'm going to just throw in a touch of water to loosen it up. And there you have your spices getting all the loving attention they need to cook down. Now, once you've got your spices nicely mixed into your onions and they've cooked down a little bit, you're going to go ahead and you're going to throw in your tomato, pulverized tomato paste thingy, about a cup of that right in there. And mix that in beautifully. And see how the tomato kind of brightens it up really nicely? I don't know if you can see. Yeah, there you go. Beautiful. And I'm just going to turn my flame a little bit up. Make sure all of this gets cooked nicely. At this point, I'm going to throw in my chicken bouillon cube. If you're not doing it, you can put in your salt at this point. I add a bit of the bouillon, and I tend to add salt later at the end if I find that it's not salty enough, because I do tend to eat a lot of salt. I'm not saying that's a good thing. It's just my taste. So throw in your bouillon. Make sure it gets nice and mixed in there. And at this point, you have this beautiful curry base all ready to go, ready for your chickpeas. I'm making a mess and splattering on my lovely white stove. One of the casualties of cooking at home is destroying your white appliances. Use a good cleaner. Okay. I was going to plug a brand there, but I'm not going to. Here we go. So, there's your curry base all nice and done. And now for the chickpeas. Just roll them right in. Got them all there? Perfect. And once again, give it a good stir. And there you're already seeing your the beginnings of your chickpea curry come together. And that's pretty much all it takes to get that going. Then you put in just about half a cup of water. You don't want to completely drown your chickpeas. You don't want to lose all that flavor that you got in there with the spices. That's going to be no fun. What's the fun in that? So just about a half cup. And at this point, all you have to do is cover it off and let it hang out for a bit. Now, if you have the time, you can actually leave this on a really low flame to just slow cook for like a half hour, and it'll really just cook down and all the flavors will get into the chickpeas and it'll be really, really delicious. If you don't have a half hour to spare, you can just 8 to 10 minutes or so and your chickpeas are done, because you're using canned chickpeas, right? If you're using the raw versions and you've soak them overnight, it might take a little bit longer to cook, but your canned chickpeas are really, really easy to cook. So we've got that sitting over there. Of course, by the magic of pre-preparation, I have one already made for you. So let me grab that for you in a second. I'm going to put you back here, and I will show you what the cooked version looks like. So I'll move this to my back burner. That's just going to sit and cook nicely. Let me introduce you to chickpea curry. Yay! So it's already nice and cooked. And towards the end, I threw in my coriander for flavoring. And we're pretty much ready to plate at this point. So you can see that the chickpeas have actually changed color. They've soaked up all the yummy curry. And we're ready to go with our plating. Let me give you a little time just staring at the chickpeas. Let it hypnotize you while I make some room to plate up our wonderful chickpea curry. Okay, ready to plate? So there's a couple of ways you can actually eat chickpea curry, of course. One of them is to just do it on, oh, I think it's too bright here. Here we go. One of them, of course, is to just serve it up on a nice bowl of rice. Oh, I didn't move this far enough, did I? Live broadcasting, everybody. Go, go, go. One out of the frame, out of the frame, out of the frame. Okay, so one of the ways to do it is, of course, just serve it on a lovely bowl of rice. And I just like to put a nice, generous portion on top. And grab our coriander, throw it on top for garnish. So pretty. Pretty, pretty. So that's one way to eat it, of course. But one of my favorite ways of doing chickpea curry is with these awesome little mini naans from President's Choice. Absolutely love them. I just pop them in the microwave for about 10 seconds, heat them up, and they're good to go. Little bite-sized chunks. They make me so happy. Makes me feel like a giant because I'm kind of a little woman. Not many things make me feel like a giant. So I just spoon my curry into my serving dish right here. Add a little bit of coriander to garnish. And then just dip my naan in and you're good to go. This is really my favorite way of eating chickpea curry. I'm not a huge fan of putting it on rice, and I don't know if that makes me like a bad Indian because of course Indians love our rice, but chickpea curry is one of those things that I really, really prefer with naan. So let me know how you like your chickpea curry. Make it, eat it, have a great time, feed it to your friends, give it to them in tiffin. I guarantee it'll be a hit because it's always been a hit every time I've made it. Let me put this down here one more time and I'll hold up the dishes for you so you can see them and I'll say my goodbyes. So it's like a balancing act. Here we go. I've got chickpea curry on rice and chickpea curry with my little mini naans. Be sure to tell me how you enjoyed this recipe and enjoy the rest of your Sunday. I will see you next week. Bye.